I don't link character to winning, you know. This team showed an unbelievable character against Inter, and we lost. Showed unbelievable character against Chelsea, and we were the better team. We didn't manage to win. Same players, same intentions, being more efficient and winning matches. That's the difference.
Arsenal Football Club, a name that once struck fear into opponents thanks to legends like Thierry Henry and the unbeatable Invincibles. But fast forward to today, and the question on everyone's mind is, are they still that good? Or are they just, well, overhyped? Some say Arteta's Arsenal is the real deal, while others call them glorified bottle jobs. Well, let's talk about that. From falling short in back-to-back Premier League title races against Manchester City, to crashing out of European competitions at the hands of teams like Bayern Munich and Sporting CP, and with no major European finals to their name in recent years, this isn't the Arsenal we've come to admire. So it begs the question, what's really going on with the Gunners? But before we talk about that, can we understand how good was Arsenal? You see, the debate about Arsenal being a good team in the Premier League is a new occurrence because in the year 2003, they were a force to be reckoned with. You've heard of the Invincibles, right? They went an entire Premier League season without losing a single game. Impossible! But here's the thing, it wasn't just the results, it was how they played. Wenger's Arsenal was like poetry in motion. Quick one-touch passes, outrageous counter-attacks, and Thierry Henry casually making defenders look like they forgot how to play football. The guy didn't just score goals, he made art out of them. They had Vieira in midfield, an absolute machine. He bossed games like he owned the pitch. Then there was the defense. Sol Campbell and Kolo Touré were a human brick wall. You could try breaking through, but good luck with that. Now the genius behind all of this? Arsene Wenger. He wasn't just a manager, he was like a football scientist. Wenger brought tactics, finesse, and even proper diet into the game, when everyone else was just eating pies and hoping for the best. This guy made players better. He took Henry from a struggling winger at Juventus and turned him into Thierry Henry.
That will be something we will set down in history, and whatever people can say, people will remember that the season 2003-2004, we were unbeatable.
It was a team that played fearless football with a vibe of we're better than you and we know it. Honestly, they made the Premier League their playground. But as they say, what goes up must come down, and that's where things started getting shaky for Arsenal. The 2005-06 season saw them reach the Champions League final, but despite leading against Barcelona, they lost 2-1. That was the closest Arsenal ever came to European glory. Then came the move to the Emirates Stadium in 2006, which significantly restricted their spending. Arsenal shifted from signing top talent to focusing on financial sustainability. The result? A string of key player departures. Cesc Fabregas left for Barcelona in 2011, Robin van Persie joined Manchester United in 2012, where he won the Premier League in his first season, and Samir Nasri moved to Manchester City. These players were the core of the team, and their exits left Arsenal struggling to compete at the highest level.
Why did that team was invincible? Why did it not kick on? Why did it not become a dynasty?
I think the stadium. We had to move into the stadium. We had to, I think money wasn't available. In 2 years, we nearly lost the Invincible team.
During this period, Arsenal's trophy drought became a major talking point. From 2005 to 2014, they failed to win a single piece of silverware. In the league, they became synonymous with finishing in the top 4 but never really challenging for the title. From 2006 to 2016, they finished 4th 6 times, earning them the nickname the 4th place club. The decline wasn't just about positions, it was about performances in big games. Between 2008 and 2016, Arsenal were eliminated from the Champions League round of 16 7 times in a row. Heavy defeats like the 10-2 aggregate loss to Bayern Munich in 2016-17 further highlighted their struggles on the European stage. By the time Arsene Wenger left in 2018, Arsenal had already dropped out of the top 4 in the Premier League for 2 consecutive seasons. His successor, Unai Emery, managed a 5th place finish in 2018-19 and a Europa League final appearance, but inconsistent performances led to his dismissal in 2019. The club's fall was reflected in the numbers. They went from winning league titles and playing in Champions League finals to barely competing for domestic cups and struggling to secure European football. It was a decline that highlighted the challenges of maintaining competitiveness in modern football while prioritising financial constraints. After Wenger, they turned to Emery, which at that time was a good signing, but in the end, it wasn't good. He arrived with a decent reputation. Remember, this guy won 3 Europa League titles with Sevilla. Arsenal fans were cautiously optimistic. His first season? Oh, it wasn't bad. Arsenal finished 5th in the Premier League, just 1 point off the top 4, and made it to the Europa League final. But then, disaster. That final? A 4-1 humiliation against Chelsea. Ouch. The problem with Emery wasn't just the results, it was the performances. Arsenal started to look confused on the pitch. Emery's tactics weren't clear, his communication was reportedly an issue, players joked about his broken English, and the team started leaking goals like a broken faucet. By November 2019, Arsenal went on a 7-game winless run, their worst since 1992, and Emery was sacked before Arsenal moved on to their next big idea, Mikel Arteta. Arsenal hired him in December 2019 and, well, it was a gamble. Arteta was not a proven manager. He'd been Pep Guardiola's assistant at Manchester City, which is impressive, but let's face it, being Pep's assistant isn't the same as running your team. Under Arteta, Arsenal have adopted a modern, positional style of play. Think Pep Guardiola but with a little less tiki-taka and a little more urgency. The 4-3-3 system Arteta uses is all about control. Control in possession, control in pressing, and control in transitions. You've got Martin Ødegaard pulling the strings in midfield, Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka terrorising defenders on the wings, and now a top-tier addition like Declan Rice holding it all together. Stats back up the transformation. In the 2022-23 season, Arsenal scored 88 goals in the Premier League, the highest tally since the Invincibles era. They also spent 248 days at the top of the table, more than any other team, before slipping to Manchester City in the final stretch. It hurts, sure, but finishing second with 84 points? Well, that's progress. And let's not forget about their defence. Arteta rebuilt it from scratch. Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba have become one of the most reliable centre-back partnerships in the league. Add David Raya, who might just be the loudest goalkeeper you've ever seen, and you've got a defence that's hard to break down. But here's what makes this Arsenal team so different from, say, Emery's. It's the mentality. Arteta has brought back the hunger. Look at the way these players fight, whether it's coming back to win 3-2 against Bournemouth in stoppage time or pushing City until the very end of the season. You can see they believe in the project, and that's a big shift from the confusion of the post-Wenger years. And you can't ignore how Arteta's man management plays a part. He's ruthless when he needs to be. Remember when he dropped Aubameyang for disciplinary reasons and then shipped him off to Barcelona? It sent a message. No one's bigger than the team. That's exactly the kind of leadership Arsenal lacked before. But how good has Arsenal been in past seasons? In the 2023-24 season, Arsenal stepped it up again. They finished second in the Premier League with a whopping 89 points. Yep, 89, only 2 behind Manchester City. Just 2. It was another epic title race with Arsenal pushing City to the final day. But that's not just progress, that's title contender material. And the squad? It's stacked. Aaron Ramsdale held down the fort as a goalkeeper for some time. He's been solid, pulling off match-winning saves and becoming a fan favourite. But Arsenal made a bold move and brought in David Raya as their new keeper. Now, Raya has been one of the most important players in Arteta's squad. This guy is one of the best distributors in the league, and his competition with Ramsdale is pushing both keepers to new levels. Offensively, Arsenal was electric. With Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli and Martin Ødegaard leading the charge, they were tearing teams apart. Ødegaard in particular was on another level, scoring and assisting like a man possessed. The midfield got a massive boost with the addition of Declan Rice. His presence brought more stability and control to the team. Defensively, they've stayed strong. Gabriel and William Saliba continued their rock-solid partnership at the back. Even when Saliba was sidelined with injuries, the team showed resilience, though his absence hurt in crucial moments. Here's the thing, Arsenal isn't just playing great football, they're consistently getting better. In 2021-22, they finished 5th. In 2022-23, they hit 2nd with 84 points. And in 23-24, they climbed even higher with 89 points. That's a team that's not just competing, they're growing, evolving, and learning from their mistakes. So yeah, Arsenal ended up 2nd again, but when you're losing the title to one of the best Manchester City teams in history by just 2 points, you know you're close. The big question for this season was, can they take that final step and bring the Premier League trophy back to the Emirates this season? And honestly, everyone thought it was going to be this season. But guess what, Arsenal did not really look like the team we saw last season. Instead, Liverpool's new coach Arne Slot has taken the spotlight. But why has Arsenal been playing badly? After being so close to glory in the last 2 campaigns, sitting 9 points behind Liverpool after 12 games feels off. But let's break it down. There are 3 big reasons for this dip in form. But before we talk about this, please click the subscribe button. It would really help us. Thank you. First, the mentality shift. Last season, Arsenal were relentless. They led the league for months, played like champions, and had that fire to go toe-to-toe with Manchester City. But this season, something's missing. They've fallen behind 1-0 in 4 games this season. That's as many times in their previous 31 games combined. What's worse? They've conceded the opening goal in 3 straight away matches, something we haven't seen since before Arteta took over. It's like they've lost that killer edge, the confidence to dominate games from the first whistle. Even their pressure seems less intense, like they're waiting for something to happen instead of making it happen. Then there's the red card problem. Arsenal have been their own worst enemy with discipline this season. Reckless challenges and moments of frustration have left them with a man down in crucial matches. You can't play with that kind of recklessness and expect to stay in a title race, especially in a league this competitive. And this red card has led to them dropping points to teams like Bournemouth. And finally, the injury to Martin Ødegaard at the beginning of the season was also a big reason for their unstable start. Ødegaard is the heart and soul of this team, the captain, the playmaker, the guy who takes risks and pulls the strings. Losing him to an ankle ligament injury in September was a massive blow. Without him, Arsenal have looked disjointed in attack, struggling to create those killer chances. It is no coincidence that their poor run of form coincided with his absence. The good news? Ødegaard is back, and you could feel the difference in their recent performances. It's like the team found its spark again, with Ødegaard leading the charge. Now, let's not forget the context here. Arsenal have already dropped more than 12 points this season, over half the number they lost in the 2022-23 campaign. That's tough, but it's not impossible to recover from. Remember, only a handful of teams in Premier League history have come from this far back after 10 games to win the title. Blackburn did it in 1994, Man United did it in 02-03, and City twice in 13-14 and 2021. So while the odds are stacked, it's not over yet. With Ødegaard back, Arsenal have a chance to turn things around, but they'll need to fix their mentality, cut out the disciplinary issues, and rediscover the fearlessness that made them such a force last season. Time to see if this team has the grit to fight back. But they still have to work on some things so they can get as good to win the Premier League as the Invincibles. Well, even though they've lost some games this season, they could still go on to win the Premier League and match their 2003 success. But what do they need to do? Well, first up, consistency is king. The Invincibles didn't just have talent, they had consistency. They didn't let setbacks derail their momentum. No panic, no overreaction, just steady performances week in, week out. This Arsenal team needs to channel that same mentality. Dropping points in games they're expected to win has been a recurring issue, especially this season. They've already dropped 12 points after 10 games, a trend that needs to stop. Grinding out results on tough days is what separates champions from contenders. Then there's leadership. The Invincibles were stacked with leaders: Patrick Vieira, Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp and Sol Campbell. These guys didn't just play well, they demanded the best from everyone around them. Arsenal has leaders now too, like Martin Ødegaard, but they need more voices stepping up, especially in tough moments. The injury to Ødegaard exposed this team that they lack leaders. And leadership isn't just about wearing the armband, it's about driving the team forward when the chips are down. Third, they've got to cut out the errors. The Invincibles didn't give their opponents an inch. Arsenal this season? They've been their own worst enemies at times, whether it's defensive lapses or losing focus late in games. The discipline needs to improve, plain and simple. This team has the talent to beat anyone, but giving away cheap goals or going down to 10 men is a recipe for disaster. And finally, mental toughness in the title race. The Invincibles thrived under pressure. They knew how to handle big moments, whether coming back from behind or killing off games when needed. Over the last 2 seasons, this Arsenal team has shown glimpses of that, but it hasn't been enough. The last 2 seasons, they led the league for over 200 days, but couldn't hold off City. The lesson? Titles aren't won in February or March, they're won in May. Arsenal needs to stay mentally sharp all the way to the end. Look, this team is so close. The talent is there, the style of play is exciting, and the squad does have depth. If they can take a page out of the Invincibles book, stay consistent, cut out mistakes, and stay mentally tough, they've got every chance to end that long wait for a Premier League trophy. The question now is, can they rise to the challenge? What do you think? Can they win the Premier League? Well, let me know in the comments, and as soon as you're done, you can watch our latest video on why Liverpool is so good.